You call it love, they call it lucky. Everyone else calls it exhausting. You fix, you soothe, you hold everything and everyone together. But here's a secret you don't say out loud. You're tired, you're burnt out, and deep down, you're starting to wonder who would fix you. So let's look at the psychology of this quickly. Let's get brutally honest. Fixers aren't just kind, they're conditioned. Somewhere back in your story, you learnt that being useful equaled being loved. Maybe you were the peacekeeper in a chaotic family. Maybe you parented your parents. Maybe you got praise for being strong and punished for needing help. And now you pick partners who are projects. You attract broken birds. And then you blame yourself when they can't fly. You call it empathy, you call it understanding, but here's what it really is: an identity built on emotional overfunctioning. Because if you're always the one helping, then no one gets close enough to hurt you, and no one expects you to need anything. Fixing becomes a shield and eventually a prison. I'd like you to think of it like this: that fixers are emotional paramedics running into fires they didn't start. You see someone broken and your instinct kicks in. Bandage their wounds, calm their rage, organise their chaos. You tell yourself, if I just love them enough, they'll get better. If I just prove I'm safe, they'll finally soften. And if I can just hold on a little longer, they'll change. But paramedics don't move in with the patient, they stabilise and then step away. You've built a life in the wreckage, and now you're trying to build a home with someone else's collapse. And the more they crumble, the harder you work until you forget your own needs entirely. You're not loving them, you are resuscitating them over and over again. But who's checking your pulse? So let's look at some solutions of how to heal the fixer mindset. Firstly, ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I stop? This is the golden question. If you stop fixing, what would break? Would they leave you? Would you feel useless and unseen? And the answer reveals the real wound. You're not trying to fix them. You're trying to secure your place in their life. Fixing becomes a price you pay for proximity. But love doesn't require a job description. Then stop taking responsibility for other people's growth. Say it with me. It's not your job to heal them. Their pain, not yours to carry. Their patterns, not yours to solve. Their avoidance, addiction, aggression, not your assignment. You can love someone deeply and still walk away from their chaos. Because staying doesn't heal them, it drains you. Let them rise or fall on their own legs. Thirdly, flip the mirror. What needs fixing in you? Fixers love distraction. It's easier to solve their issues than to face your own unmet needs. So here's the challenge. Turn that energy inwards and take a good look. Where are you depleted? Where have you stopped receiving? Where have you abandoned yourself in the name of being strong? Fixers often avoid their own healing by over-investing in others. But real strength is in letting yourself fall apart and rebuild without witnesses. Then, create a relationship audit. Is it mutual or one way? Grab a pen and draw 2 columns. On one side, what you give. On the other side, what you receive. Not very much, is there? And be honest. Do they ask about your day? Probably not. Do they hold you when you cry? Definitely not. Do they show up or just lean in when they need something? We know that one. Fixers tend to normalize emotional inequality, but real love is reciprocal. You're not here to be someone's therapist, bank, or emotional dustbin. If the balance sheet is always tilted, it's not love, it's labour. And then finally, let the silence teach you what you've been avoiding. When you stop fixing, you're left with silence. the urge to text, to rescue, to explain. Sit in it. Because underneath that silence is your deeper fear. If I'm not saving someone, will anyone ever choose me just for me? Let that fear rise and then challenge it. You are not only worthy when you're needed. You are not only lovable when you're useful. You deserve to be held, helped, healed, not just heroic. And in my closing comments, here's the raw truth. Fixers aren't just helpers, they're hiders. You hide behind caretaking because it feels safer than being seen, safer than being vulnerable, safer than risking rejection without your usefulness as a shield. But love isn't meant to be a job, and you are not a rehab centre for broken people who refuse to change. You are not a parent to your partner, you are not a patch for their wounds, and you are not a reward for their potential. You are allowed to have needs, you are allowed to break down, and you are allowed to say, I'm not carrying for both of us anymore. You're not selfish for stepping back. You're sacred. You are worthy, not because of how much you give, but because of who you are when you finally stop proving it.